Now to the crisis today in the Mideast, where a ceasefire that was supposed to last 3 days was broken in less than 2 hours. More than 40 Palestinians and 2 Israeli soldiers were killed when fighting erupted this morning. The Israeli military says a suicide bomber emerged through a tunnel and detonated explosives. A firefight followed, along with the capture of a 23-year-old Israeli officer. A spokesman from Hamas blames Israel for breaking the ceasefire and denied holding the Israeli soldier. But Israel says they did not break this truce. So we're about to get some perspective on this from NBC 10 military analyst Colonel Rick Kiernan. Colonel Kiernan, you spent 26 years in the U.S. Army. You've served in Germany, Vietnam, Saudi Arabia, awarded 2 Bronze Stars, was the Pentagon spokesman for the U.S. Army during the first Gulf War. He joins us now live in the Digital Operations Center. Colonel Kiernan, certainly good to have you here. This ceasefire was truly over before it ever began. What does that tell us about the tensions there?
I think it tells us several things, Renee. First of all, the military is often a manifestation of a very turbulent political situation. A ceasefire also requires mutual respect and mutual agreement on both sides. And I think over the last 2 weeks, there's certainly been a lot of tension. There's certainly been a lot of humanitarian challenges with the number of displaced people and the number of civilians, particularly children and women, who have been injured in this particular area.
Given that, what can we realistically expect Secretary of State Kerry to accomplish, and what is he doing right now?
I think Secretary of State Kerry is taking a very, very vital role in trying to bring these 2 entities together. I think a lot of times we forget that 3/4 of our foreign aid goes to 2 countries, Israel and Egypt, and the Gaza Strip lies between both of them. And the government over there has gone back and forth for probably over 60 years. So I think Secretary Kerry and the United Nations are trying to at least get a pause in some of these terrible, terrible military operations that have been going on back and forth with retaliation. So I think over the next weekend, after the Sabbath over there in Israel, they'll be able to get together in Cairo. That's the intention. And I think the United States, once again, is trying to broker peace and is taking the humanitarian impetus as that step.
Well, given what you've said, then it sounds like you're optimistic in terms of what we can expect going forward, because that certainly hasn't been the case to date.
I think that has not been the case. You are right. It's kind of vacillated back and forth. And I think in some cases, you know, they've said, well, the Israelis did this, and they said the Hamas did that. And I think you also have the entities within the Hamas that are also trying to settle things within the Palestinian contingent. But I think the humanitarian efforts on both sides, those that have been affected and those that have gone ahead and inflicted, I think that'll come to bear over the weekend.
Colonel Rick Kiernan, thank you so much for taking time talking to us today, the NBC 10 military analyst. Thanks for your insights.
My pleasure.